want to sing.
Singing about the crowd and the noise. Sometimes I feel like Jesse James.
Hi, it's the coach trying to sing. Justin, I got blessed with height, good looks, great, charming personality, but I can't sing. It's terrible. If I could have sung a song, ladies and gentlemen, I would have competed with Elvis. There's no question about it. Anyway, welcome to the show I call The Business Life. 15 years doing the show called The Business Life, over 18,000 interviews. And today, ladies and gentlemen, great hour with a dear friend of mine. He was a detective with the Los Angeles Police Department. He was a detective sergeant, which is a big rank, and worked on a lot of cases. I'm going to pull back, not the first segment, because the first segment we're going to talk about Donald Trump a little bit. We're going to talk about tipping in restaurants. So the second segment, we're going to talk about the LAPD. We're going to pull back the curtain and find out the life. What goes on with you, Don? How literally, we're going to talk about how you started your day in the morning. People don't realize you didn't put in 8 hours a day. Cops are not. They're paid for 8 hours, but you guys put in, 14 hours? You said there were many days you didn't even go home for 3 days.
That's true. It's not an 8-hour job.
No, it's not.
Very rarely was there an 8-hour day.
Yeah, so, all right, you can chime in on anything I say. So you're my very, very special guest today,
Well, it's
Don.
great to be here, Coach. Thanks.
Honored to have you. Honored to call you a friend. So let me just start with this. So I'm not sure I'm a Trump guy. I don't think I'm a Cruz guy. Something about Cruz's nose and face and voice. I don't know. Just I can't figure it out. And Rubio is just they're both U.S. senators, so I give them some props there. Rubio's 44 years old. When we were 44, we were just shaving, starting to, I don't know, that's young to be president of the United States.
Well, look at John Kennedy, the youngest so far of the presidents that we've had.
I knew John Kennedy, and you're no John Kennedy.
Thank you very much, nor do I profess to be him.
So Rubio, I don't know. I'm trying to stay open-minded with Rubio. he's scripted. Okay, but here's my issue. Here's what I want to say on my little dialogue, is that these are U.S. senators. Neither one of them would not know how to create jobs. I believe that Donald Trump, if he came into office, would be creating jobs for this country. I don't think he would be lying outright to the country when he says that working on the border and creating jobs are really what he wants to do. I don't see these U.S. senators having any clue as to how to create jobs.
Well, remember, when this country started, these were citizen
politicians.
That's right. They had farms to run. They had their businesses to run, and they met periodically to run this country.
They were merchants.
These guys are politicians, paid good money to be politicians. The only thing I'll give Trump, in which we've never had a true businessman sitting as a president. I think he's got the idea of how big business works.
The original presidents were merchants. The original presidents were businessmen.
Correct.
But we've not had a guy like Trump in 150 years.
So it's like, what are we going to risk? What do we lose to get a business guy in there? Politically, I'm scared to death of him because I just don't think he has the knowledge to run a country politically. But everything else that he talks about, he's echoing the sentiments of today's guy on the fence.
But he's echoing people like me that are disgusted,
of course,
with Republicans.
Yep.
They've done. To me, there's one party. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent conservative. I have conservative values. And the Republicans are horrible. They've done nothing. Both sides have done nothing. Nothing gets done. We have a bloated government. We have 4 or 5 million too many federal government workers. We need to downsize the size of government. We need to give more rights back to the states. In this, I've traveled this country just like you have. Yeah. And there's probably 12 legitimate regions in this country where the cultures, the culture of the South is not like anything in San Francisco or North Dakota or Columbus, Ohio or St. Louis, Missouri, where I had an office. So we have all these different cultures. So we need local politicians. We need local control of their culture, not the federal government.
Well, and again, we were founded on the people Okay, the people running government. The people don't run government anymore. Big business runs government. And again, I've separated myself from getting involved in politics because with the two-party system that obviously is the only thing that's ever going to come about, we don't have a choice. We have two people. We have a Democrat or we have a Republican.
Right.
And unfortunately, none of that appeals to me anymore because the man in the street, the common kid, my kids who are in their 30s and late 20s have no chance to buy a home, especially here in California. There's nobody helping those people today. When I grew up, and Coach, when you grew up, there were programs. There were people out there to help us. Our politicians could come get us and help us.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Well, when I don't know, we can't talk about when you and I grew up. Houses were $13,000, $14,000.
Put them on a credit card.
Yeah, my first house was $28,000. It's just a different world. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what's going on, but I'm not okay with the federal government intruding into our lives. So that now takes me. So anyway, back to Trump. I think Trump could create the jobs. I think Hillary is just Hillary. I mean, I don't even need to say anything about Hillary Clinton. All you do is say Hillary Clinton, and everybody has their own opinion, so I'm not going to say anything. But I think Donald Trump, think about it. If I'm sad that I didn't run for president. I think if I would have run for president, I would have made you.
I would have voted for you.
Well, a lot of people would have voted for me, but you're an expert. We're going to get in the second segment on your background in police work. So I think Donald Trump will go out and find the best people. I really believe this, that he will find the best people in various areas to run the agencies. That's what I believe.
And I believe that. I don't think he's arrogant enough to just sit there and run everything himself.
He can't be a soundbite president because then that would be worse than anything else. So
he's doing pretty good so far, though.
All right. So you're retired now. I don't know how retired you are because you're still doing a lot of stuff we'll talk about. But you were a sergeant. You were a detective sergeant in the LAPD. So I went on Facebook the other day, which you don't even know what Facebook is, but I went on Facebook the other day and I said that I had to support the privacy issue for Apple. And I'm a conservative, and a lot of my conservative friends on Facebook gave me a bad time. But again, do you trust the federal government to penalize the private sector if they had more knowledge, more information? They already have. Everybody has my Social Security number, including you and everybody else. But enough's enough. You know, I told my wife, and my wife supported me on this because my gorgeous wife Ellen is a little bit on the lefty side. And, you know, she felt the same way that I did, that enough's enough. You know, what's the next step? The government now will knock on the door and come into our homes and tell us what we can't put on the walls or what we can't do in our own homes? I mean, 1984, Big Brother, you and I remember that movie, right?
George Orwell, of course.
George Orwell. So, you know, the issue is we have to fight for individual privacy. This is what the Founding Fathers had in mind, too.
Correct, but 14 individuals in San Bernardino lost their life to terrorists. Thousands were killed in 9/11, not to bring up old things, by terrorists.
Right.
Coach, if you've got nothing to hide, as I don't, you can come in and watch me shower. You can come in and go through any drawer you want. And I don't think this is a blatant open the door because I'll arrest you for a marijuana cigarette. This is about life and death. This is about supporting a way of life. And if the feds want to come in and tap my phone because somebody said Don Tabak is talking to subversive, tap, catch me, catch anybody. Because if I can protect my children and protect you over a simple thing of tapping a line, such as the Patriot Act, do it. I got nothing to hide. If you've got nothing to hide, why would you worry about that?
Well, I'm a Duck fan, so there's a lot of Justin. Justin's telling you to speak directly into the microphone. I'm an Oregon Duck fan, so I mean, what if you're working for the government and you're an Ohio State guy, and you see all my Oregon stuff? You're going to give me a bad time. But I'm teasing you. But let's get back to this Apple thing, and we'll move on. Can a Fed agent and an Apple guy sitting in the back room of Apple just open up the darn phone and get it done? I mean, why are we making such a big deal out of this?
I agree.
We don't have to create it. Come on, open up the phone. One Fed, one. Come on, really?
Yeah, I think this is being way blown out of proportion. I think there's an amicable, peaceful solution to this where both right and left people are going to be protected. And like you said,
what happened to common sense?
Thank you very much.
What happened to common sense? All right, you're listening to The Coach and my very special guest, Detective Sergeant Dante Beck, LAPD here on KHTS, 1220 AM, heard all over Southern California. Go to hometownstation.com if you're listening to us and you're driving and you go home and you can listen to us on your computer. A lot of my friends and clients do. The best radio app, you downloaded the app, didn't you?
I did. Great app.
Isn't that a great app?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go into the App Store and just put in KHTS and 1220 AM will pop up and you can listen anytime you want, day or night. All right. So, I'm angst about a few things. So let's move away from Trump.
Okay.
Tipping. So there's an article in the LA Times today about tipping. So in California, I didn't know this, but servers, and Justin, you can jump in on this because I would love if you want to. I didn't realize that I thought servers shared their tips with the dishwashers and the back room people. They can't. They can't share their tips.
Now, I wasn't aware of that, and I've got kids that work in the restaurant industry. And
we do share them. We don't share them with them per se, but we share them with.
Well, I'm going to get you. You got a detective right here. You want to get yourself into trouble? I mean, I can.
I'm telling you who we share them with.
Who do you share them with?
3 different departments: the bussers, the food runners, and the bar. So we do still share them.
Are you now?
And that's off the top.
You don't share them with the back of the house, no. But you share them with everyone that works in the front of the house.
Are dishwashers in the back of the house?
Yeah.
So they don't get anything.
They get free food, a meal a night. That's basically what they get in terms of.
Okay, so here's my question. I'm not sure where I stand, but that's why I talk about it. So the restaurant owners are going to go to a situation where they're going to put an 18 to 20% surcharge on our bill. So stay with me on this. So it's an automatic surcharge. So if I go have a dinner for $50, I'm going to pay another, $5 surcharge, right?
Well, I haven't heard of this yet, so I don't know.
Well, here's the paper. You can read it right there. So
this is going into effect?
Well, yeah. Some restaurants are doing it right now. So my concern is I like to tip and tip big because if you give me great service.
Are you sure that's not for parties over 8 people?
They're talking about a
tipping point for restaurants. Business section, LA Times, right there.
Like they're going to add 18.5% to the bill. But how do I know that my server is not going to get only 8% of that if it's earmarked for them for tipping, and they're going to build it into the price of the check? I want to make damn sure you're getting that tip.
Amen. Well, here's the other thing is that if there's a surcharge, I'm going to probably tip anyway. I want that server to be to make a profit. I want that server to know that I cared. A great server makes a big difference in a meal, don't you think?
Absolutely. And let me throw in too, and Justin, you're in that world, as a couple of my kids are in war. That they're paid minimum wage.
Yes.
These servers.
Yes.
They are dependent on their tips. And they're saying, I'm giving you great service. Please remember me, because that's really what the money I live off of. So I get very offended if they're going to start messing with their tips, or the restaurateur is going to put an extra 18, 20% on the tab so that they're covered for their taxes or whatever. I want to make darn sure that he's getting that 18% like we just talked about. So it is a very slippery slope that they're dealing with.
Well, and this whole thing is coming about because of the increased minimum wage from, what is minimum wage now?
Like $7.25?
It's 10. Oh, sorry, it's 10. It's going to 11 in July. I'm pretty sure.
And then 15 by
2020.
So I don't have a problem with raising minimum wage, but minimum wage was always a starter package for kids out of high school or kids into college. It wasn't a way, for people to try to support their family. I don't know how even on $15 an hour you can live in California.
You absolutely cannot.
You cannot.
No.
You cannot. So this goes back to, we have more. I need more hours in the show to get into this, but our educational system is broken. You and I grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
Correct.
I went to Taft. You went to Monroe.
Yep.
And we took. I'm changing subjects now a little bit away from tipping. We're done with tipping, right?
They're gone.
Done. Over. So when we were educated, it was reading, writing, and arithmetic. It was real simple, and we had shops. We had all kinds of shops, which is great. And you honor the craftspeople, and this is a lot of people started their careers because they became craftspeople and plumbers, electricians, steel workers, all from the shops that they took, right?
Yep.
But the best part of the education, and I believe you're going to support me on this, the best part of the education is we learn to love this country.
Absolutely.
We had history. We had history teachers that came from another generation. They loved this country, and they taught us. They taught us how to love. Everything is learned. Everything is learned, and you learn to love your country. So the kids today, I don't think they're getting that love. I really don't. I talk to my grandkids. They're not.
And you know what, but Coach, it's not just there too. I mean, it transcends everything really about the millenniums today. It's not.
Oh, we're going to pick on the millenniums, aren't we?
Yeah. They're younger, those sons of guns.
Yeah.
And I don't think it. Well, everything is the same. It's equal. It was like back when you were there, but now it's this, and it's not. And if you look at the opportunities that are afforded to young people today to be successful, back in our day is like, well, here it is. Either learn it or don't. But now there's continuation school, there's this school, there's that program.
We had no nets.
Nothing.
We had
That's
nothing.
Right. That's right.
So I agree. So, and I know people listening are going to, well, you're two old white guys. Okay, but we are. But I agree with you. I think there's more opportunity today. With technology, think about it. And I've said this where I get into trouble. I think if you knew how to research on the internet, you could go and probably get more education than you can sitting in a college classroom. I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on that. But.
Well, remember what we had to go reference for our topics of our reports was the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
That was 8 years old by the time you were able to view it.
Yeah.
Well, now with social media, everything is right now. But how do you not be successful?
If you can learn to research and do discovery, you can become a scholar. You can actually become a scholar. So, all right, we've got a break coming up. Our show is brought to you by a great lady in town, Tammy Butler. She's a mixologist. Do you know what that is? Just a bartender.
No, I've never been in a bar.
Just if you're going to have a party, call the coach, and I'll introduce you to Tammy Butler. She does all of our parties. You ever had a bartender at a party?
I don't have parties, Coach.
I have parties. Okay, we have parties. When we come back, we're going to talk about your life. I've been curious all my life. When you and I were in high school, kids either wanted to be firemen or policemen, and we actually know kids that went to Taft that became policemen. So I've always been curious about the life of a police officer, and I have such respect. I honor a police officer like I do somebody in the military. And what's going on in our society today has me beyond angst. It has me mad. It has me angry. How could you not respect the badge? Yes, in every profession, there's bad apples. There's bad doctors. There's bad mechanics. There's bad guys on radio. Maybe I'm one of them.
No.
But not to respect the badge. Think about it. If you, when you're calling 911 and you have an emergency, you want that guy to show up as fast as you possibly can. So I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in society right now. There's a lot of people that just don't understand how the whole process works. So I want to get into it with you. I want to find out about your life as a sergeant on the LAP. Not only as a sergeant, but a detective working some of the worst precincts, right? Some of the worst areas.
Well, that's
77th Division?
Yes.
And you got stories.
I got a few. We can talk about those on the other side of the break.
All right, we're going to come right back. The show is called The Business Life. I'm your coach, Coach Ron Tunick, on KHTS 1220 AM. We've got Justin producing the show as he always does. A little under the weather, so if you're out there, say a little prayer for my pal here, will you? We'll be right back.